Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Antarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Vyasadeva ki Guru Parampara ki Bhaktivedanta Purports ki Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Sound is clear? It's okay? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, entitled The Lord Slays the King of the Demons. Today's text 34. Tata sabayam upavistam uttame Nirpasane sambrita tejasam vibhum. Alakshita dvairatam achamashanam. Prachanda vaktramna Babajakaschana. Mataji's. the word for word. Tataha, thereafter, Sabhayam, in the assembly house, Upavistam, seated, Uttame, on the best, Nirpa-asane, throne, upon which King Hiranyakashipu used to sit, Sambrita Tejasam, in full effulgence, Vibhum, the Supreme Lord, Alakshita Dvairatam, whose challenger or enemy was not seen, Ati, very much, Amarsanam, fearsome, due to his anger, Prachanda, terrible, Vaktram, face, Na, not, Pabhaja, worshipped, Kaschana, anyone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiranyakashipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiranyakashipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuntha, and therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that sometimes with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras. But still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiranyakashipu, however, had formerly been Jai, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate, and although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmanas and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiranyakashipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that the devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. At the end of May of 1968, Srila Prabhupada in 26 2nd Avenue, when you go to the inner courtyard and you go to the first floor, he had a small apartment. He suffered a massive heart attack. And several early devotees were there at that time, including at that time Brahmananda Prabhu, Kirtananda Swami, and others, and Achyutananda Prabhu, who became also a sannyasi later. So, when Srila Prabhupada suffered this heart attack, he was known as Swamiji still then, not as Srila Prabhupada. He left the body for about 45 seconds. So practically he would have been certified dead. That means he left the body. And Srila Prabhupada wrote a few days later, about a week later in the beginning of June, that practically I was to have died on the last Tuesday, but by your chanting here in New York City, but he wrote the letter to the devotees in San Francisco, our second temple that was opened there. I would have died on, I actually died on Tuesday, but somehow by your prayers I've come back. So Srila Prabhupada left his body for about 45 seconds rather. So when he came back into this form that we know him, that we worship every day, here also at Guru Puja time, and then they took him to a hospital called Beth, B-E-T-H, Israel Hospital in New York City. So there, one of his early disciples named Jadurani, he was guiding Jadurani of how to do painting. So in the beginning days when Jadurani was painting, she was doing a lot of rough sketches in a way and bring it to Swamiji. He'll approve and he'll say adjust here, adjust there. So she did two paintings. one of Radha Krishna, and one of Nrsimhadev. And the painting of Nrsimhadev that Srila Prabhupada guided her are these several verses prior to this, when I'll read those verses. These verses depict that painting. We are on verse 34. And in verse 29, as a snake captures a mouse or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supported him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Text 30. Lord Nrsimhadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes full of anger were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Nrsimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembling a lion that has just killed an elephant. So these two particular verses resemble that original painting that he guided Jadurani to paint. These two particular verses. And in today's verse, in addition to that painting that Prabhupada commissioned her, it doesn't specify directly, but in today's verse, nobody, after Nrsimhadev did that, nobody wanted to go near. This is the verse today. But somehow, with the gentle prodding of Lakshmi Devi as well as Lord Brahma, they tried to push Prahlad forward. See? And they even gave him a garland. So Prabhupada added that part, which is not discussed in these two verses. In these two verses which I just read prior to today's verse, you can see that Hiranyakashipu is being torn apart by the nails of Lord Nrsimhadev. And when he was torn apart, the Nrsimhadev took his intestines and garlanded himself. But the part in the painting that Prabhupada added was Prahlad can come close with a garland, which is not in the verse, but in this verse today, when nobody wanted to come close, indirectly. That part is added by Srila Prabhupada. So when Srila Prabhupada was taken to Beth Israel Hospital, prior to that, after the heart attack at the end of May, then going into beginning of June of 1968, he mentioned to them that they have to chant a mantra. And although Prabhupada chanted that mantra at the end of 1966, I heard all of Prabhupada's lectures, including of 1966. He also chanted the Nrsimhadev prayers there, but they didn't understand what he was chanting. But then in 1968, at the end of May, beginning June, when he got the heart attack, he called Jadurani and he said, now you write word for word. Like that. And the words that he carefully asked her to write down is, Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Everyone? Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadrita Narahariru Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare. So he requested the devotees to chant this mantra continuously, also with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's the refrain, it's the second part of the prayers to Nrsimhadeva. Later on, the first two verses were added. That's another pastime, why that was added. That's another time we can discuss. So, Jadurani gently asked Srila Prabhupada that you're giving us these words and you're telling us how to chant it, to pray for you, you know. So what is the meaning of these words? Like that. So Srila Prabhupada didn't give the meaning of the prayer for protection. But Srila Prabhupada said, you can feel and you can say to the Lord while chanting these prayers that our Master has not finished his work. Please let him finish. Because Prabhupada wanted to stay on and execute the instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to give us the books and to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. He gave that translation, that our Master has not finished his work. Please let him finish. These words. They didn't understand what they were singing, but this is the meaning in its intention and consciousness. So therefore Srila Prabhupada said, by their prayer I came back to life in the self-same body. He wrote in a letter like that, to that effect. So when he was taken to Beth Israel Hospital after that heart attack, so Brahmananda told Jadurani, you please bring those two paintings into Prabhupada's room in the hospital. So they brought the two paintings, like that, of Radha Krishna and Nrsimhadeva. Like so when the paintings came in, Srila Prabhupada was bedridden. He can't do anything himself. Just like in 1977, this is what happened to him after that. He was paralyzed from one side all the way. He was completely paralyzed. That part was not functional, like that. And he couldn't use the bathroom himself. So they had to do everything on the bed. Just like in 1977. This is in 1968. So he survived that and gave us 10 years more with us to 1977. Yeah. So in the Beth Israel Hospital, when the paintings came in, Srila Prabhupada, tried to lift up his head, as Brahmananda Prabhu was explaining, and he just offered, pranams to Radha Krishna and Nrsimhadeva, who is tearing apart in these two verses, the chest and the stomach and took the intestines and garlanded himself. So then Srila Prabhupada motioned to Brahmananda Prabhu, and he said, I want to pass water, but he cannot go to the bathroom. So they have what is called a bed pan. So Brahmananda Prabhu has to go, and others have to leave the room, like that, so that and he could assist Srila Prabhupada to pass water, like that. So Srila Prabhupada, before he could pass water, he looked at Lord Nrsimhadev, the painting, like that. And Brahmananda could hear what he was saying, like that. And he looked sideways and he looked at the painting, and he's praying that, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, please forgive me that I have to do this in front of you, to use the bedpan and pass water. And that is also in the Lilamrita, in brief, properly. But when I asked Brahmananda Prabhu about him, he said that his realization was that Prabhupada actually could see Lord Nrsimhadev, but he just saw a painting. So Brahmananda's realization at that time, he saw this is just a painting. But Prabhupada actually felt the presence of Nrsimhadev. Otherwise, why would he pray like that? That please forgive me that I have to do this in front of you. Like that. Okay? So we promised you as yesterday that we'll leave more time for questions. You have your hand up. Microphone here.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna
Hare.
Maharaj.
What's your name?
Bhimraj.
Jai. Are you recorder also? You eat well?
Moderately.
Moderate. You should eat more today. You're fasting morning, Sabjis, chapati. You take 2 more, mouthfuls like Govardhan hill of rice today, morning. What's your question?
Maharaj, just kind of a technical question here.
Hold it close.
You were mentioning that Narsimhadeva
I can hear the sound. You can hear the sound? You can hear his question?
Okay. My question is...
So the question is only coming through this sound. They cannot hear. Can you hear the question? Okay, they can hear.
Okay. So, Narsimhadeva killed Hiranyakashipu on the throne, right? And it's also mentioned that Narsimhadeva, the Hiranyakashipu was killed on the doorway. So, I'm little confused. Was the throne on the doorway, or there is told that he was not killed outside the home, not inside the home. He was killed on the throne, on the doorway. As well as it's mentioned that he was killed on the throne of Hiranyakashipu himself. So, where was he actually killed? Was the throne on doorway or something like that?
Text 31. In text 30 I read, he decorated himself with Hiranyakashipu's intestines, right? Now text 31. The Supreme Person Godhead who had many, many arms first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and then threw him aside and turned towards the demon soldiers. So he got up. He got up. Got it? These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him, would raise weapons and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu. So he was no more in the doorway after he killed Hiranyakashipu. He faced those soldiers and he was standing. There's a famous painting for that too. and he killed him. We good? Text 32. He is still standing. He is no more in the doorway. He just pushed Hiranyakashipu's lifeless form onto the floor. The hair on Nrsimhadeva's head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. We good so far? Text 33. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and upper planetary system by the hair on Nrsimhadeva's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. He was standing up. Today's text. Manifesting a full effulgence and fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimhadeva, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Is the question answered? Who understood? Give the microphone to Sundar Sham Prabhu. He'll explain to you. I don't know if my English is too simple or what.
Lord killed Hiranyakashipu on the door, on the doorways, and then the demons, assistants of Hiranyakashipu, they came. So Lord stood up, and then he faced them and he killed them all. Then he came to this throne, and then he sat there.
Are we clear?
Because in the photo, he's sitting on the throne and then Vishnu is on his lap. That's why.
What photo? This is not the throne. That is the place where it's not inside and not outside, like the doorway. Doorway has its own sphere. And the throne is not on the doorway. Naughty. If you take more prasadam, it will become more clear. You honor more prasad. Next question. Okay, microphone there to the back. We'll take one Prabhu and one Mataji. See, next time when you ask these complicated questions, you only ask Sundar Sham Prabhu and he'll clarify. He lives here with you, right? It's easier, you got easier access to him. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Maharaj, you are a doctor and I am a patient. And
I'm not a doctor and neither you are my patient.
You can cure me properly because you know me very well. So in regards...
I don't know, usually devotees are bewildering and you are also bewildering, so I don't know.
So this is in regards to today's, in the purport, the last line says that in this regard it is to be understood that the devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. I would like to understand that many times I also feel that I'm very fortunate and I fly in the air. How can I be grounded? But
because I don't know how to fly in the air. So then somebody else who knows how to fly in the air can answer your question.
How to be just grounded? We feel that...
No, I am grounded. I'm not flying in the air. But flying in the air is higher than being grounded. So you ask a devotee who is more realized, who can fly, like Narada Muni. Like I said, your question is bewildering. I cannot understand it.
Okay, let me refine my question. How can I be humble in life?
The goal of life is not to be humble. Now what's your question?
Okay, how can I serve in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant?
And just serve. And like I said yesterday to Sundar Sham Prabhu, what did I tell him?
That you serve those whom you don't even appreciate.
Yes, you must serve without discrimination.
Yes.
That's all. Next question from this side. He already has the microphone. I can't do anything, Yes, your name again.
Sachinandan Bhagwan Das.
He's close to Bhagavan. Okay, Sachinandan Bhagavan Prabhu.
Maharaj, that story of half 𝗃𝗃 that was very inspiring. How
You can
Prabhupada...
read it in the proper Lilamrita.
Yeah. So if possible, as you said, that other part of that prayer, there also pastime is there. So if possible, you can share that also.
Namaste Narashringaya Prabhu. Yeah, later on, in the early 70s, maybe 70, 71, there's actually a tape of Prabhupada, audio tape, that in Los Angeles. He was teaching them each word, Prabhupada. Very nice tape. I forget the year, but it was in Los Angeles. I have all of Prabhupada audio with me, so I even distribute it. You probably know, right? Yeah. So you can hear the tape. So Prabhupada introduced the first two refrains, the first two verses, and then the refrain is Tava Kara Kamala Mare Nakamad Bhutta Shringa. Because the movement was being attacked from within. So after he introduced the first two verses, what you sing every morning, he made a statement that ISKCON can never be destroyed from outside. ISKCON can only be destroyed from inside, within. So I'm not going to give the details of the leadership at that time and what they tried to do. Some of them were contaminated by Srila Prabhupada's God brothers. Some sannyasis. So they was trying to change the philosophy a little bit when they were coming back to the verse and contaminating the other leaders and devotees. So Prabhupada cautioned the leaders who were in good standing against them, and he gave them some transcendental reward to purify themselves. And then other leaders were into making money and not taking care of the devotees. Businesses. During Prabhupada's time. Like making money in other ways other than through book distribution and fundraising from well-wishers. That also entered the movement during Prabhupada's time. I don't want to get into the details because some of these devotees are big names. So then Prabhupada said, you yourselves as the current leadership cannot sort this out. So then he introduced the first two verses, to Nishingadeva. And he said, you chant these verses, our movement will always be protected. The first two verses. Now Srila Prabhupada never prayed to Nishingadeva for good health. The body is designed to suffer and die. He only prayed so that he can continue his service to his Guru Maharaj. And he only prayed for the protection of this movement. So the first two verses is to protect ISKCON, from not being attacked from within and be destroyed like the 𝗁𝗂𝐵𝗱. And the last verse is to protect ourselves in our own Krishna consciousness to continue serving. And I have all that in detail from Prabhupada's letters, what he said in detail for what the first two verses was introduced later on. And this movement was almost already destroyed after Prabhupada left in the early 80s. And currently the movement is also being destroyed from inside, but it cannot be destroyed. And those who try it will live. And sometimes those who live will be worshipped in Samadhi also. But they can never destroy this movement from within. And you can only destroy it from within if you're a leader. So don't, you have to be very careful to see what's going on. Therefore, for whatever it's worth, I'm doing some little service. It's called 𝗃𝗺𝗶𝗺 and Vani. 𝗃𝗺𝗶𝗺, 4,073 audio files. Lectures, bhajans, kirtans, everything I have. And 𝗃𝗺𝗶 Vani, Prabhupada's video. I distributed, remember? It came previously. So that's Prabhupada's legacy. It cannot be forgotten and it cannot be eclipsed and minimized. You asked a question, I'm responding. Just like you can ask yourself, how many lectures and how many kirtans and bhajans that you heard of other devotees in the movement, and how many did you hear of Prabhupada in the last week? In the last week. Then you can understand what your position is, that you are unknowingly minimizing Prabhupada's association. It's true. What will happen in 50 years? I'm in my mid-60s, I'll leave my body soon. But at least I'll leave this legacy behind of Prabhupada, Vapu and Vani. I'm the main distributor. From Bhaktivinoda archives and from ISKCON television and Nishingananda Prabhu and Yadubar in Vishaka from ISKCON cinema. For the audio and the video. So you can question yourself of how much you are hearing from Srila Prabhupada directly. Is accessible. And the leaders should question themselves how much also they are hearing from Prabhupada. Through that the movement will be destroyed. Prabhupada has two samadhis, one in Mayapur and one in Vrindavan. Others have more than two samadhis. I know. 3, 4, 5. What is this? You understand? I'm speaking directly. So those first two verses are very important to protect Prabhupada's baby. Prabhupada's baby is International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's growing. It's still in its childhood stages. It's meant to last for 10,000 years. We only passed almost 50 some odd years, coming into 60 years. It's meant to last for 10,000 years. So this movement can only be destroyed from within if it's divided. If it's divided. Fractions, this, that. My guru, my god brothers, my god sisters only. That is going on. We have to stamp that down. Got it? That's the first, that's why that prayers came. And I'm giving you, I can give you evidence on Prabhupada's written letters to a devotee called 𝗃𝗃 Prabhu, why he has introduced us. And he's giving names of who almost wanted to destroy this movement from within in his own presence. And it can mainly come from sannyasis, because sannyasis were involved. Got it? Clear? Oh yes. And people know me. I'm pretty bold about this. We have to be. Otherwise Prabhupada's legacy will be eclipsed and finished. Good? Next question. Yes, microphone here, to the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, what's your name?
Vaishnavi.
Yes, Vaishnavi.
Maharaj, actually my intelligence understands that Krishna is all merciful, but deep in my heart I have so much of hate about Lord. So I think that I am doing this chanting only to get out of these material sufferings. So how can I convert this hate into love?
To some extent, all of us have that. That's how we came to the material world.
Yes.
Not only you. You are in good company here. So we all are trying the same thing, where we sort of rejected devotional service to Radha Krishna. So now we're trying to do that again, by the process of sadhana, bhakti, devotional service and practice, to develop our love for Radha Krishna. So you do the same thing that you're already doing. You continue to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa at least. You do that?
Yes.
How many rounds you chant?
6 rounds daily.
6 rounds. Do you know any devotees here? Like experienced devotees, Vaishnava, Matajis, Vaishnavis. You know anyone?
No. Actually, I am connected to devotees, but they are from Nashik.
You have devotees in Nashik?
Yes.
Senior devotee Matajis?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you go back to Nashik, you have to tell them you'd like to increase your rounds from 6 to 7.
Yes.
Then 7 to 8. And usually Srila Prabhupada said to various devotee children who were born in the movement, he said by 16 years of age you should be chanting 16 rounds of japa. So what's your age?
21.
Then you should speeden up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So when you go back, maybe every month you can increase by 1, or every 2 months or something. You decide what's comfortable for you. You just stick to that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question. Microphone? Oh, you have the microphone already. Okay, Samarpana 𝗃𝗃 Prabhu. Microphone on, okay.
Thankful to Sachinandan Bhagwan Prabhu for asking that question and what to speak of the answer. So, very grateful to you,
What
Maharaj.
to speak of the answer? Say what to speak.
So, thank you for telling us the dangers which are happening and which will happen, which were happening in the moment.
But ISKCON can never be destroyed. Those who try are destroyed. And the followers will be destroyed with them too. You're not going to Golok, you're going somewhere else. Now go ahead.
So, whenever you describe any pastime of Prabhupada, it's very enlivening to hear, Maharaj. So, I'm very grateful. My question is from 3rd canto, there is one statement which Prabhupada writes, which is about his desire. So, I wanted to ask you about that. Can I read that statement?
You have it?
Yeah, I have got the book also.
It's a long purport.
purport is long. Yeah.
But the part you want to read,
Yeah.
how many lines?
It's maybe 3-4 lines.
Right.
So
But read one line before and one line after so I know the context.
yes.
Go
ma'am.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, read.
So this is 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 36th verse, where Kapil Muni is explaining about the deities, etc. So
Yeah.
here the word vilas is very important. Vilas refers to activities or pastimes of the Lord. It is a prescribed duty in temple worship that not only should one visit the temple to see the deity nicely decorated, but at the same time he should hear the recitation of 𝐻𝐷 Bhagavad Gita, or some similar literature, which is regularly recited in the temple. It is the system in Vrindavan that every temple there is a recitation of the Shastras. Even the 3rd class devotees who have no literary knowledge or no time to read Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita get the opportunity to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. And so on, like that he goes on. So my question is, Maharaj, over the years we see that Prabhupada times there were these 2 classes which were there in temple, Bhagavatam class and Bhagavad Gita class. So over the years it seems there are temples where it goes on and there are temples where something else goes on.
Yes, over the years also it seems like those who lead kirtan don't chant 16 rounds first. That's also there. Yes or no?
Yes, there are so many
Yes, so
things
there's
like
so
that.
many things which is not part of ISKCON, but it's on the external side, outside of ISKCON, but it's considered part of ISKCON. You understand?
Yes,
Because it's congregationally based. Now, if you took initiation and you're not chanting your rounds for 3 months or 3 years and you live at home, who will know? Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. So it's a risk. And then sometimes those who are living in the congregation, they don't have any ashram training and they want to tell you how to manage the temple. That's not fair. Those who live in the temple know how to manage the temple because they live in the temple. But it becomes congregationally based and that's what happens. Because if you're in the congregation, you don't have a full morning program. You have to go to work, you have to make lunch for the father to go to the office and make lunch for the children to go to school, things like that. So they should understand who is actually Brahmanically inclined and follow them. So Srila Prabhupada, and that's why I've been emphasizing that if a community doesn't have a brahmachari ashram, the grihasthas and the householders can never make spiritual progress. This is given in the purport in the 1st canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam to the verse Prayana alpa aisuyasya kalo asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagahi upadata. It gives you the symptoms of the age of Kali. And in the purports, Prabhupada talks about the brahmacharya ashram. And he says even those who didn't go to the brahmacharya ashram but take sannyas, they are prone to fall. In that purport. See? So it's very important that the temple becomes a nucleus for the community. But what happens is in the congregation, if they are close enough to the temple, they shouldn't have their own deities at home. They should worship the local deities. Prabhupada wanted that too. I got this from many senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples. If you have your own deities at home and you live like 10 minutes walk to the temple, why you have to own your own deities? You have deities in the temple. Come and worship and respect them and do service. And many devotees, they don't chant their japa in the morning, they do puja and arti at home. They spread the japa throughout the day and in the evening, and the whole day the japa is haunting you like a ghost. You're supposed to chant me, 2 rounds to go, 10 rounds to go, you didn't do it yet. It haunts you like a ghost. So therefore we have to come back to the temple standard. And that temple standard should be emulated and followed in one's homes. Very clear. Now, even when initiating gurus give general instructions, it doesn't have an effect so much. Because there's no personalism to follow up on those instructions with each disciple. It's a fact. How I know this? Because I don't initiate, and those who are initiated come to me. I can't go to Guru Maharaj, I can't go to Guru Maharaj, he'll finish me up. I come to you, please help me. And the basic point is minimum 16 rounds of japa during Brahma Muhurta time. I have all the evidence from Prabhupada why you have to do it in Brahma Muhurta time. That will reconcile everything. If you're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam but you haven't completed your 16 rounds, what are you hearing? You're hearing philosophy, but you may not get realization. Gyan, but no Vigyan. Everything is based on the chanting of japa of 16 rounds in the morning, because that's the only vow you have committed to at the time before initiation, only for half an hour during initiation, and for the rest of your life. The only positive vow. So I emphasize there are two words. One is called service, and the other is called devotional service. If you don't complete your japa in the morning, you are engaged in service. If you complete your japa in the morning, then all other practical services becomes devotional service. The consciousness of devotion is added through the japa, including hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam class comes after you chant your japa, not before you complete your japa. And way back I mentioned, maybe in my class when I arrived on Wednesday, there's a video of Prabhupada in black and white. Way back in 1972-73, how you can live at home in New York City. In New York City. Prabhupada never compromised. He said, you come to the temple, get trained, and what we do in the temple, you try to emulate in your own home. So therefore, our household devotees are living like grihastas, But they cannot make the temple a mandir. They cannot make their homes a mandir. They meant to make that. So man means mentality. Man means mentality or conscious. And dira means become sober from sense gratification. So the griha should be transformed into the consciousness of a mandir. Because in the temples there's no sense gratification. There's only activities for the sense gratification of Radha Krishna, not for one's personal self. So they should emulate what's in the temples and introduce it in their homes. But if you're living near the temple, you're very fortunate. Then you can do so much service in the temple, and at home you just have photographs of the presiding deities that you have. But if you already have deities, that's okay, but that's like all over the world, That okay? Therefore the GBC slapped one resolution this year, because they knew where the problem is. They made a resolution, GBC, after so many years I've been telling them, they made a resolution this year. Revive the ashram. You saw the resolution? This is the resolution, is written there. Revive temple ashram, revive ashrams, especially for the Western world. You have it here nicely, but revive it. brahmachari, brahmacharini ashram, revive it. And we all are aware that if you are trained as a brahmachari minimum for 10 years, and if you train as a brahmacharini minimum for 10 years, and then you get married, you know what to do in your home. You'll make it a temple as you used to live in the temple. It's a fact, because you're ashram trained. So in many places that I visit, they ask us what to do. We don't have any spiritual leadership. You don't require a GBC to do this, administration and management. You require spiritual leadership to do this. And in many places I have introduced many places, in many countries that I go to. I say, if you want to really help devotees, you have a nice, like a guest facility. And if they have if the mother and father, they have 3 children or young adult children or teenagers, let them all come and stay in the temple on Friday and leave on Sunday. And get trained for several weekends of the year, and they can emulate that in the homes. Because there's no TV, put the phone off. They can do so much service on a weekend, and let the brahmacharis be free to go out and preach on the weekend. And they're doing it in different places. And another thing I introduced, which is very effective. They first started it in New Vrindavan, and it's kind of happening. I don't know whether it's still happening now. So they asked me for advice. I said, you have to have a temple president and you have to have a community president. Very clear. You have to have a temple president and you have to have a community president. So then the policies about the temple is run is not overlapping by those who don't have any ashram training and commenting on it. See? And the community president is accountable to the temple president. You've got to have that. And the community president must have been a brahmachari for at least 10 years. And then he got married. Because he understands both. See? So these things will resolve many unseemly things based on ashram standards and based on the japa in the morning. That's why Prabhupada said, come and see the deity. He says that, right? Come to the temple. Yeah. I was recently in Dubai. Right? Just one example to show you. Yeah. So I went to a devotee's home, and I knew what deities he has. So suddenly I see there's another 2 sets of Gaur-Nitai and another 2 sets of 𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗺. So there's 3 sets of Gaur-Nitai on his altar and 3 sets of 𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗺. One is his own 𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗺 and another set of Gaur-Nitai. I said, what happened? He said, no, these devotees, they went on holiday. They couldn't take their deities with them because they're going to places that you can't take deities. Holiday. You understand the standard that they're following? I said, where they went? No, they went on a ship's cruise. Are you a devotee? That you dump your deities in some other householders? And that householder, he said, I also go on holiday and leave my deities with them. Both ways. What is that? And then others go somewhere else and they say, now we put them to sleep. Put them to sleep. As if they mustn't eat for 5 days. I'm going now. The personalism becomes impersonalism. And I'll give you another standard. I go to some yatras, huge yatras. And every temple almost has a deity of Nishingadev. And Nishingadev is only meant to be worshipped by celibates. I'm talking about not just brahmacharis, genuine brahmacharis. Not just with the saffron. And by sannyasis. Nishingadev is meant to be worshipped by them, not by just anybody. But you've seen in many temples outside of India, every temple has Nishingadev. So Prabhupada made it a point that if you want to worship Nishingadev on your altar, you take only this painting. When Nishingadev is taking out the entrails of Hiranyakashipu and garlanding with his intestine. Nishingadev garlanded himself before Prahlad could garland him. Because Hiranyakashipu gave his life for the pleasure of the Lord. Prahlad didn't give his life. Hiranyakashipu gave his life for the pleasure of the Lord. If you kill me and it gives you pleasure, take my body and decorate yourself. That picture has to be worshipped on the altar, like how we have in Gaur-Nitai here. That picture, Prabhupada's place, has to be worshipped. But now everyone replaces it, they don't put the picture, they have deities. Prabhupada specifically wanted that picture of Ugra Nishinga. Yeah, ferocious. So don't change the standard. Another place I went, they do this Nishingadev worship during japa time. Yeah. And they offer so many tulsis, I'm there. I'm sitting in the temple and I'm chanting my japa. Then I have to chant Nishingadev prayers for the second time in the morning because they're doing Nishingadev puja. Then I went to another room, like they have a hall. I went to another hall and I started chanting my rounds. Because in japa time you meant to chant your japa. They offer tulsis, I think, for some reason. I don't know where that ritual has come from. See? Good? Next question.
Just one.
No. Otherwise I'll speak more openly. What time we have to stop? 9:30. Question? Okay, microphone there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, what's your name?
Samiksha.
Oh, the third time. Samiksha manu tatenu kampam. Yes.
Yes, please accept my humble obeisances as your
Hare
aspiring
Krishna.
servant. Maharaj, my question is how to cry for Krishna.
Don't cry. Devotional service is not. You cannot force bhava. Emotion cannot be forced. It's artificial. Sometimes they'll tell you, can you chant with feeling? You're forcing bhava. You don't do that. And then you tell somebody, oh, no, chant from your heart. What is that? Bhava has no force. Devotional service has no force. It comes naturally. It comes naturally. So I'll give you a pastime and I'll end with that. Okay? So, Srila Prabhupada, our first big deities that were installed in ISKCON is Shishi Radha Londonishvara. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada practically transcendentally stole those deities from one Indian family. You can read the pastime somewhere. Yeah. And he named them Shri Radha London Ishvara. And then Srila Prabhupada made Yamuna Mataji, you know Yamuna, she's late now, the head pujari. She learned very quickly from Prabhupada. And those days, if you're the head pujari, you're the only one who dress every day because there's no other pujaris. Not like the opulence we have of so many pujaris now. Okay. So every morning, she used to dress Radha London Ishvara in the old temple in Berry Place or somewhere, not the current location. And then at DT Darshan at 7 or 7:15 or so, or 7:30. So she'll come out of the altar and she'll look at the deities and she'll start crying. Crying naturally. She'll look at the deities. So one early devotee who joined, Prabhupada named him Purushottam Das. Right. So Purushottam Prabhu, he noticed this of Yamuna Mataji crying in front of the deities. So then the transcripts of Prabhupada's translation, before the book could be printed of Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, reached them. Because Prabhupada said, you can, after we edit the transcripts of my dictaphone tapes when I'm translating, you can send it to the temples before the book is printed because I approve of those transcripts, and that will go into book form, page up in book form for printing by the BBT. So some of the transcripts came to London at that time. And Purushottam was reading the transcript, and he read there, one should not cry or howl before the deity. It's a rule like that. And Purushottam Prabhu at that time, he was like, he's young and naive, so he thought maybe I should bring this attention to Srila Prabhupada because Yamuna Mataji is senior to me. You know? So Prabhupada came and he approached Srila Prabhupada and he said that according to your nectar of devotion, one should not cry or howl before the deity. He said, yes. He said, but Yamuna Mataji, she after she dresses the deities, she comes in the front during deity darshan, and every day we see tears coming in her eyes to see the deity. Then Prabhupada asked him, who else is there in the temple room? He said, only the devotees, like that. Then he said, her crying will come in the presence of the devotees and the deity. But if there's somebody who's not a devotee, that crying will not come. That crying will not come. So she's not breaking a rule. She's not breaking a rule. Because the devotees are family. The devotees are family. So if you cry in front of your mother and father, Radha Krishna, in front of the other brothers and sisters, that's natural. But that crying won't come in front of, that crying will not be inhibited, it will be inhibited naturally if there's others who are not members of the family. They won't understand. So Prabhupada gave that example. See? So if you cry in the presence of devotees, that's fine. But that crying naturally won't come in the presence of those who won't understand. And some place, I heard it from several devotees of Prabhupada disciples, early disciples also. And he said that Yamuna Mataji is on the level of Bhava Bhakti. So when you're in Bhava Bhakti, that will come. But not in an artificial way. You cannot force feelings in devotional service. It comes naturally. And it's inhibited, it's contained and inhibited naturally because of confidentiality. It's not exposed. That okay?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you.
Mahaprasadi Govindi. Sarira Vindijal. That prayer we can say today. We can say? Okay. Mahaprasade Govinde. Namo Brahmani Vaishnave. Svapa Punyavatan Rajan. Vishvaso Navajayate. Sarira Vidyajal. Jodendriyata Hekal. Jivapila Visaya Sagore. Dharmadya Jivati. Lobomoy Sadurmati. Takajata Kutina Samsade. Krishna Bodhadoyamoy. Koribada Jiva Joy. Swaprasadana Dilobai. Senamritapau. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gunagao. Premedako Shri Chaitanya Nitai. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Bhagavat Prasadam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki. ISKCON Pune Yatra ki. Natai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So we'd like to heartily thank Maharaj for his wonderful association for last almost 5 days. He gave a class on Wednesday, then yesterday, today, and one class at Radha Kunjveri temple.
And Shashwat.
And one in Saswat in the evening. And it is Maharaj's specialty. He speaks very little but encourages a lot of interaction. And anyone who interacts with Maharaj can never forget Maharaj's
Prabhu,
guidance.
don't give a lecture, they are hungry.
Yes, Maharaj, no, like, we are still in time.
And I am also hungry. Me too. Have mercy on me.
And that question answer becomes a subject matter of contemplation. At least till Maharaj come next time and devotees